Hello, my name is Robert Cavon, and I'm an attorney here at Tax Resolution Professionals. I handle financial analysis for offer and compromise, pretty much seeing if you qualify or not, and how we can legally tweak it to make you qualify. In this guide, we're going to be covering New York offer and compromise. We wrote out a guide that's written out. You may have seen that on the internet. Pretty much, we explain how to do it yourself. Or for our clients that want us to do it, gives them an explanation of how the process works. So, there's going to be two main forms for almost everybody. That's going to be DTF 4.1 and DTF 5. DTF 4 is for liabilities that are not fixed and final, or for doubt as to liability, offers, and compromise. Most people are going to have the liabilities fixed and final. They already know what it is, and they're going to do DTF 4.1 and DTF 5. So we'll go through 4.1 first. This is pretty much, what are you offering? Put the amount you're offering in. Your basic information goes in here. The assessment ID isn't that important. If you have it, put it in. If you don't have any of this information, call the state. They'll give you all the liabilities owed. You may need to add another page if there's additional information. I would just add a little text here that says see additional page. If you don't have the assessment IDs but you have everything else, that typically is going to be fine. They want to see a number 4. Here are the facts supporting your offer. Why should you get one? Why should you qualify? Put your sob story there. And then the signatures on this page here. Very simple, DTF 4.1. Now on to DTF 5, which is the financial statement. So it's a statement of financial condition and other information. Pretty much what they're looking for here is, 1, do you have more assets than the tax balance? 2, do you have a bunch of money left over at the end of the month? Either one of those is probably going to disqualify you from getting an offer and compromise with New York, and probably the IRS as well. But in this form, they're pretty much going to ask for the same information, name, all that, representative, if any. Really, if you have a representative, they should be filling this out anyway. Name of your banks, who's your spouse, who are your dependents, what's their relationship to you. They want to know about your life insurance. They want to see if there's any cash value. Whole life insurance typically has a cash value. Term life insurance typically does not have a cash value. And then in this section, on page 2, they're going to see your assets and liabilities. This section here, section A, is going to be all your assets. What do you have? Is it worth anything? What's the fair market value? When it comes to fair market value, you're going with quick sell value. What can I sell for it quickly in an auction type scenario? Not what can I get for it if I sit here and wait for the best buyer. Liabilities. How much do you owe people? This is pretty much all basic and self-explanatory. Down here, you're going to add additional liabilities that are not included in here. Life insurance policies that have a loan against them, essentially, is this section 7 here. Most people aren't going to have that, probably going to skip this, but if you do, make sure you fill that out properly. Accounts and notes receivable, anybody who owe you money, any accounts that are going to come get paid soon. This is typically for self-employed people. A lot of businesses don't have any of this. Even if you are self-employed, businesses are not. So you would just skip this section for most people. Real estate, what's your real estate? If you have more real estate than you owe in taxes and there's not mortgages on it, you're probably not going to get a settlement. They're probably going to say either pay us in a payment plan or sell your real estate and pay us. Furniture, fixtures, most people's furniture isn't worth that much when it's used. I typically just put $1,000 here. Used furniture does not have a great value. Most people are not going to have machinery equipment, but if you do, list them. Trucks and automobiles, make sure to list this in detail. Get your registration number, get your plate number, get all that stuff. If you don't have it, get it before you send it in. They usually are going to come back and ask for it anyway. But if for some reason that's the only thing stopping you from sending it in, send it in first, let them ask for it later. It's better to get it going than wait for one small detail like that. Security, stocks and bonds, they don't know about your stocks. Judgments, it's pretty much has anyone sued you and do you owe them money. That's kind of what it is. Statement of income, they want to see what you're getting, how much money you're making, where is it coming from, and all that. Disbursements, who you're paying out to. Why are you paying them out is right here. What you're paying out is right here, and to whom you're paying out is right here. If there's more people, put them down here and put the information in there. They're going to see your total assets, total liabilities, total disbursements. Now page 6 is corporate stuff. So if you don't have a corporation, and this guy is not covering corporations, you're going to skip page 6 completely, and you're going to skip this section here as well, section 16, and you're going to move on to section 17. Now section 17 is disposal of assets. What they're looking for is, have you given anything away that's less than the $500, then that has a market value of more than $500, and you took it for less? Essentially, did you give someone land for less than you owe? Did you give somebody a car? That kind of stuff. They want to see, because sometimes people are just doing this out of good faith. Usually that's okay, but if you're doing it to avoid the state or avoid them collecting on you, they're going to count that probably against you in this analysis here. So, are you getting any money from an estate? That's what this section's about. If you're not getting it, if you're not a beneficiary of a trust or an estate, you can just put no. But if you are, they're going to say, oh, is this person getting paid out by somebody who's dying or something happened? And if you are, they're going to look at that against you. So if you know someone might be dying soon, that might be giving you something, get this form out fast. Are you a grantor, donor, trustee, or fiduciary? That's pretty self-explanatory. Any other assets or interest in assets? They want you to describe them in a list on a separate page if you do. Are you in foreclosure? Are you in a bankruptcy? Is a sum offered in compromise or submitted as a partial payment borrowed money? One thing on this bankruptcy part here, if you think that you're a good candidate for bankruptcy and you're a good candidate for offer and compromise, typically if you're a candidate for one, you can usually get the other as well. The difference is some of the more recent tax debts are not going to be on the bankruptcy. So you could do a bankruptcy and still be stuck with tax debt. So this is kind of my recommendation on the whole thing. If you have a ton of other tax debts and it's all going down anyway, not tax debts, a ton of other non-tax debts, and they are pretty much close to the amount that you owe in taxes, you might as well just file a bankruptcy, be done with the whole entire thing if you can't get out of it. However, if taxes are your main debt, offer and compromise is much better. It's better for your credit, doesn't show as a bankruptcy on your record, and then it's done. So when tax debt's your main debts, go with offer and compromise. If you owe a ton of money to a bunch of other people and the tax debt's kind of old, go with a bankruptcy. If you owe a bunch of money to a ton of other people and you have new and old tax debts, you may end up doing a bankruptcy and an offer and compromise. But bankruptcy is typically easier. If you just have a bunch of stuff, it's just wipe it out. The bad part is, it's going to affect your credit for 7 years. They're going to ask you about your crime situation. Are you defending any proceeding now? What is the prospect of an increase in value of assets or present income? I'd usually put the prospects are bad, unless you know something specifically that's going to change. You technically shouldn't lie, but most people are going to say everything's going to stay the same. There's really no prospect in change. Now here's all the information list. You're going to see that in section 26. Here you're going to see all the stuff they're listing for. The federal tax returns are very important. Try to get all this stuff up front. If there's one little thing that you're missing, maybe just send it in if you have to, because collections is coming. But it's better to have everything up front, because what's going to happen is if it's incomplete, they can reject it and you have to resend the whole entire thing. But if there's one or two things missing, a lot of time they'll go ahead and they'll keep processing it and then ask you for the additional stuff. But if you want to have no risk of them rejecting it, really get everything 100% together and put it together and send it in. If you're doing an IRS offer and compromise, some of this data is going to overlap, but New York actually asks for way more stuff than the IRS does. So save all the information if you're going to do an IRS one as well. You might be using some of the same stuff. And then your statement is pretty much a declaration that you're giving them the best information, and you sign it right there. So what else should you add to these forms? Well, we always do, and we recommend adding a cover letter as well, and you'll see in our guide we explain that. So in the cover letter, you want to explain why you should get accepted, the same stuff from the sob story in DTF 4.1. Expand on it a little bit, kind of explain your situation, and then mail it out. Mail it out, but before you mail it out, actually make sure you make a copy of everything. You might want to scan it all into one PDF or make a complete copy. Make sure you save every single thing you send to them, just in case they say they didn't get something, you can show them that you sent it. Or if they ask you to go over something with them to explain something, you have it right there. It makes it way easier. So then you're done copying it, mail it out. The address is on our webpage. You're going to go ahead and send that by certified mail with return receipt. If you don't send it by certified mail, sometimes they just say they didn't get it. And this happens with the IRS as well. Always send by certified mail when you're sending it to government authorities. You can send it priority mail, but make sure you send it certified priority mail if you do. Don't just rely on the priority number tracking number. That's not good enough. Always certified mail. If you're not sure on all this and it just seems too confusing and you want somebody else to do it, you can call us. Our number is 888-515-4TAX. Again, 888-515-4829. Or you can go to our website and click Contact Us. Our website is trp.tax instead of .com. It's trp.tax. And why would you have Las Vegas tax attorneys do a New York State settlement? Well, first off, we've done way more New York State settlements than most New York tax attorneys because we specifically just deal with tax debts that are due. We don't deal with tax planning. We don't deal with other IRS, we don't deal with other non-IRS issues. We only deal with IRS issues, New York State, California, any type of tax debt issue is what we deal with. And on top of that, you'll generally get a much lower rate for us completing your case than if you had a New York attorney do it. And on top of that, they're generally practicing many areas and aren't really specifically an expert in anything. Last, New York State doesn't really require you to physically go to anything. Everything is mailed and everything is done over the phone. When you submit it to Offer and Compromise, it's typically the same people over and over again we've already dealt with, and we're going ahead and trying to get you the best settlement we can. If a settlement's not a possibility, we're going to let you know right away. First, in the initial consultation, we can usually weed out most people that aren't going to get a settlement. And then when we go through your financial analysis, if something looks off, we're going to tell you. And if it's not going to be a settlement, the fees are generally substantially less. So, any questions, leave a comment below or give us a call at 888-515-4829. And thanks for watching this video.